You have a question?
Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, there's a question.
There is
Sorry,
a question.
panelists, just before
Let's take
writing.
this final one. Comment,
Thank
really.
you. Thank you.
Thank you. I think my take is that we still require a lot more brains, I think, in structuring facilities that are fit for the realities, I think, on the ground in terms of the local SMEs. I think the issue of ticket size, I think, is a big one. I do understand, I think, the cost that goes into structuring some of these facilities. Hence, most of the providers of finance would love, larger ticket sizes. But again, most of the local SMEs sometimes require quite some very little, funding just to get going. And I think there's still a huge gap, I think, on that front in really structuring facilities that are fit for purpose. That I see as a huge gap. There's still an aspect of, some funders also, even on the impact, investment, stage, still asking for things like collateral. And then recently, I think we all know there's a facility that actually required, some of these SMEs to have turnover of 200,000 euros. What that actually means is that by design, you are actually excluding 99.9% of local SMEs. And we know who you are targeting when you're actually requiring someone to have turnover of 200,000 euros. So by design, you're actually excluding local SMEs. And I think there's also the issue that that gentleman talked about in terms of perception risk on local SMEs. I think you said, which is good, that you are honest that probably if you're not American, you do not access some of these other facilities. There's a lot of perception risk in terms of default on locals, but we have quite a lot of SMEs that actually have potential, but then bundled in this perception risk. So I think we have quite a lot of issues. And then the last point, I think, is on the matching grants. You again ask, some of these local SMEs to put in, say, 50%, matching grant. Again, technically, by design, you're actually excluding some of these local SMEs to participate in some of these, facilities. So for me, I think we also need to look at investing in preparatory facilities. These aspects of audit reports, standards, food safety and stuff like that, so that we up, the game and the standards of these SMEs so that they can actually, participate equitably on some of these platforms. Otherwise, so far, most of these impact investing, funds by design, they're actually excluding most of the local SMEs. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mercy, can I speak to that briefly?
Yes, please.
I think what you said at the very end is really important around preparatory facilities. And that's got to be the key, because we can't expect every investment or every facility to be the right fit for everyone. So yes, while some have floors, a minimum turnover, for example, just because that one's not the right fit doesn't mean that that should be the focus. We need a lot more emphasis on those earlier stage tools, especially in the blended finance space. So it's the technical assistance, but it's also the ticket size, because it's prohibitive. And the more that we can focus on that, the less an issue that it will be, because more of these challenge windows and things of that nature will come around. And our emphasis needs to be on getting the next generation of businesses ready for when that time comes. So, we've always tried to punch above our weight at Good Nature, and there's still several groups that we're way too small for, still way too small for most DFIs, the CDC, we can knock and knock and knock, it doesn't matter. But what matters is that stack from a very early stage to ultimately larger private equity type vehicles. And that early stage is what's missing. So I agree with you, but I don't think that anything should be placed at the foot of the larger investors necessarily. We need to build new things, and we need to encourage more groups like Prospero who are focusing at an earlier stage of ventures. Okay. Do you want to add anything?
Yeah, sure. So I think you make very valid points. And I think even in the work that we've been doing, obviously a lot of the work that we're doing around impact investment was originally focused on those growth stage businesses. And yes, we recognize a lot of those things that you said. It was hard to find enough deals that were ready to go to impact investors. So actually recently, one of the things that we've done and helped support through a partnership with Mentor Me and Bongo Hive and the African Business Angels Network is actually the formation of the Zambia Business Angels Network. And that really is targeting earlier stage businesses that need the type of support that you're talking about, where we are saying locally high net worth individuals can actually make those type of investments, right? And actually give that hand-holding support. Yes, it's only one organization, but I think it's a good start. And we need many more. And that's the point that I agree with you 100%. We need many, many more so that we can begin to build businesses from the base going upwards. And by the time that there are big investments or big challenge funds that require all those criteria that you mentioned, they're actually businesses, local Zambian businesses that are ready to take those up. So there's a lot of work to be done, and that I agree with.